Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. The purpose of today's video tip is all about giving back and sharing knowledge that I've gained along with what others have passed down along the years, all to help young apprentices build strong foundational skills. So today let's talk about using a preacher block for perfect fitting baseboard trim. A preacher block is an alternative to a bevel square when trying to find the angle out of, say, an out-of-plumb plinth block or door casing when you're running baseboard into it. It's a simple tool used to basically scribe a perfect fit between the baseboard and the door casing or plinth block. It's especially useful for older homes where angles and casings may not be perfectly square anymore. A preacher board is made to go over a longer than needed, an oversized baseboard, so that you can push the preacher board against the trim, scribe a line on your baseboard, make that mark, and then cut the baseboard so it fits. So you want it longer than needed. You place it over the board, basically transfer your cut line precisely, ensuring a snug, gap-free fit in the same plane as the trim. So how do you make a preacher board? Let's talk about that. Years ago, I read how to do this, about preacher blocks, I should say, in a finished carpentry book on built-ins by Clayton Dacorn. Unfortunately, the article didn't really get into, the book didn't get into how to make one, so I figured I'd take it from there. All right, let's talk about how to make a preacher board. Years ago, I first read about preacher boards in a book on finished carpentry by Clayton Dacorn, and unfortunately, the article didn't really get into detail on how to make one. It's pretty basic, but I figured let's just cover it right here in the video. So the steps on making a preacher board. To do this, just pick some scrap material. You can use the same material as the baseboard that you're using, and go for, let's say, the same thickness as well. You want to select a board, cut a board that's twice the length, or I should say the height of your baseboard height, right? So twice the length of your baseboard height, and that's so that it doesn't break when we cut our notch. From one edge, one long edge, measure it and mark the thickness of your trim. In my case, it was 1 inch trim, so I measured it and make a 1 inch mark. From that mark, I then measure over the thickness of my baseboard trim, adding 1/8 of an inch. 3/4 baseboard trim, so now like 3/4, 1/8, 7/8 inch. I square those lines up approximately 1 inch taller than my base trim, and then using a table saw, I cut those two lines, and then I just use a jigsaw to cut out the center slot so that I have a slot in my board now. Now that you've talked about how to build one, let's just talk about how to use one. So select a board that is 2 or 3 inches longer than you need. So what I mean by that is get a longer baseboard than you need. If you're working out from a corner, you fit that end first, then you use your preacher board. If you're working away from a door trim, either from door to door or door to miter, you want to fit one door trim first, get that fitted, and then work your way over to the other door trim, fit that, or do your outside miter next. The trick is you're doing one scribe at a time, fitting one at a time. You're going to press your preacher board tight. You slide it over your baseboard and you press it tight against your door trim so that you have a scribe line. You scribe that line along the preacher board right down from the casing on your base, and you're going to mark your base trim. Cut that line. It's going to ensure a snug, gap-free fit in the exact same plane as your trim. So guys, to conclude, when installing baseboard, don't assume casings are perfectly square. They often aren't. This can lead to gaps between the baseboard and the casing and kind of looks unsightly. And that's where the preacher board comes in handy. It gives you a really good fit every single time. I hope you found this tip helpful. And if you already knew this trick, I hope you're sharing it already with new younger carpenters. I am. Guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.